our average ticket was like 400, 500 bucks. I mean, we were just getting killed. Just no pricing. Pricing was all over the place. And when I joined TNFR, once my guys understood it and bought into what I was trying to bring in, my average guy's ticket was about $2,500 average per ticket.
The new Flat Rate Podcast. The new Flat Rate! For contractors ready to boost tickets, simplify business, and gain freedom. Today, we sat down with Manny Galarza. He is the owner of A-Team Plumbing and Drain. And now your host, me, Natalie Koop, and your co-host, Chris Getz. Today, we're joined by Manny Galarza, owner of Team Plumbing and Drain and a member of the new Flat Rate. In this episode, we're talking about Manny's journey as a contractor, from the challenges his business faced before implementing the new Flat Rate to what changed afterward, what surprised him most, and what he'd tell other contractors who are considering making the leap. Manny, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes. So I just want to jump right to it. Tell us a little about your company and your journey. What made you decide to become a business owner?
Yeah, so we started A-Team Plumbing in 2018. I had actually worked for another company before where it was very system driven, and I ended up unfortunately getting hurt on the job when I was out of work for a couple of years due to the surgeries that I had to have done. And we, after when I was ready to go back to work, I just really felt like it was time. I had, with the last company, it was kind of like I ran my own truck, ran my own company. I did all the pricing, I dealt with the customers, did all that stuff. And I'm like, why can't I do this for myself? Right. So we launched it. I went head first into it, and enacted a lot of the stuff that I did at my previous company with a few tweaks here and there, and just went for it. I was like, listen, now's the time. Let's just do it. And we did it. And after about a year of, working around the clock and working crazy, we decided that, listen, the name's getting out there, and, we need to start bringing guys on. And that's kind of where the journey started. It was just, I kind of had the outlook, go big or go home. And we started, like I said, to add employees, and the responsibilities became bigger. When you start making a lot more money, you need to, it becomes very important to be able to know your numbers, know your pricing, have a system in place. And as the year went on, I started to add employees, but never had a system. It was just all over the place. And I just kind of got to the point where I was like, all right, we got to get some pricing. So I went and I think I demoed with TNFR, and I demoed with another company, and went with them in the beginning. And no sooner that the books showed up at our office that I sat the technicians down, there were questions. How do I use this? What do I do? Where's this? Where's that? How I present this to a customer, So we kind of rolled with that for about 6 months. And again, still, I had no systems in place. I had nothing. I couldn't even tell you what a KPI was, or I couldn't tell you what idle time was. I couldn't tell you anything. And I finally decided it's time. And I met with TNFR again, and it's been fantastic ever since I did that. I mean, not only did they bring systems into our business, they helped me learn how to understand my numbers and what was happening with my technicians. Why is this technician falling off? Why is this guy not being consistent? What can I do to help them? I'm a very brash guy. I just say like it is. So I had to learn how to talk to people. It's like, you can't just, go off on somebody. You kind of got to talk to them to find out what's going on. Right. And what can I do to help you? And then it just kept going. I mean, our average ticket went, if I remember correctly, because I still try to forget it. I think our average ticket was like 400, 500 bucks. I mean, we were just getting killed. Just no pricing. Pricing was all over the place. And when I joined TNFR, you know, once my guys understood it and bought into what I was trying to bring in, I just literally had my weekly meeting today with my guys. My average guy's ticket for last week was about 2,500 average per ticket, and that all is not just the technicians. I attribute that to the system, because not only did I do something for the technicians, now we have fluid dispatch. My dispatchers know their job. They know what they need to do. I know what I need to be doing as an owner, and we've grown. I mean, we're up to 13 employees now. We've added HVAC service, or HVAC department now. We also have a septic pumping division. Um, we have an operations manager now. So it was about, learning how to delegate and kind of just stepping back a little bit and saying, let them do their job. The systems are in place, and that's all due with TNFR. Hands down. I never would have been here today. Never. So it's been a long road, but we're there and we learn every day. When I first started, it wasn't just, you go to Home Depot and you buy something, you buy a Milwaukee tool, right? And you go off and you use it and you do whatever you do. That's not TNFR. That's TNFR is there's service after the sale, right? So if I have a problem, I used to reach out to, Suzanne was my coach. Fantastic, phenomenal, loved her. And then I started to go to the outlets in Louisiana. I just did the one down in the Keys. I learned from that. And I've had several conversations with Matt on a Saturday. Just called him up, say, hey, I'm thinking about this. Or Matt, I have a problem. What do I do? We sit there and have an hour conversation, and this is a guy that I hold to I hold him up high, because everything that he's told me has been the truth. There's no, he's not fluffing it. He's not gonna, blow smoke up your rear end. It's gonna tell you like it is, whether you want to hear it or not. And I, as an owner, I appreciate that, because I don't like anybody trying to make something into what it's not. So it's been great for us, and it's become a family where I can reach out to anybody. I mean, I met Danielle down in the Keys. I got to know her really well. Matt, we had several conversations, and we're just, Russ. I was glued to his side at the Keys, just being able to pick someone's brain, because, I used to say, does anybody else have these problems? Like, does anybody else, struggle with this or struggle with that? And they're like, yeah, man, every day. And I'm like, wow, well, how do you deal with it? And all these different owners that give you different, answers. This is how I do it. This is how I do it. This is how I do it. Has made life a lot easier for me as an owner. And it's been fantastic. And that's all due to TNFR. I don't care what anybody else says. They can sit there and tell me that, oh, flat rate is this, flat. I'm not buying it. I literally will walk out of the conversation if they start saying that it doesn't work, because I know it does, because I live it every day, so that's what's been great for us. It's just having that camaraderie with everybody. And if I have a pain, if I have a problem, Nat wants to know, how can I help him get through that? And it gives you a different way of thinking about it. So that's what's been great about it.
Talk to us a little bit about that beginning. We have a lot of techs that are at that one truck, one man stage. It's them and their wife, and they really want to know, how do I take that?
Scary. Yeah, it becomes scary. You don't know when it's time to step up to that next level. But I'll be honest. I mean, you you've either got to go big or stay small. There's never an in between. You can't be, oh, I'm going to be big today and small tomorrow. No, you're either going to do it and go all in, or you're just going to stay the way that you are. And that's okay. That's okay. That works for some people. being that one man show with just him and his wife answering the phone. And listen, I did it. Uh, but when you start to realize that, you do good work, you respond to your customers, word gets out, man. Word gets out now with Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, whatever it is. I mean, word spreads like wildfire, you know. And if one person has a good, you know, relationship with you that they've been using, they're going to tell everybody and their mother about. So what happened to me was when I first started, I was working for nothing, man. I was doing all the Walgreens in Connecticut, unclogging a urinal, pulling and resetting a toilet. They're telling me, well, we're only going to pay you 185. Okay, I'll do it. You know what I mean? But then as word started to get out, the calls started to come in. As we started to grow and we started to get marketing and we started to get our name on the internet, people started to see my truck. The call volume just grows. So you gotta make a decision at that point. Do you want to be the guy that somebody says, I called him, but he doesn't call me back? That's a huge turnoff to people. Well, I don't want to call him because he's not going to call me back. So now I got to go do I hear it every day. You know what I mean? So you got to make the decision at that point for you, what works best for you. For me, it was, I want 20 trucks. That's what I want. Yeah, I'm going to have sleepless nights, but that's all right. You know why? Because if I have a problem, I just call Matt, or I talk to Russ, or I talk to Yomi, or I talk to Adam, or I talk to Danielle, or I talk to one of the guys from Platinum Plumbing. You know what I mean? Like the list goes on and on of people that I can call to say, hey guys, how do I handle this? You've got 30, 40 trucks on the road. How do you do it? You know what I mean? And listen, I'm feeling it right now. I have the growing pains, problems that everybody has, cash flow issues. We got the work, but the money, this is happening or that's happening or whatever, you got to make a decision. You're either going to stay where you're at or you're going to hit that next level. But me, I'm the type that I just want to go for it. And if I see an opportunity where I can make money and grow and help my employees and their families, you better bet your bottom dollar I'm going to do it. So it's really a personal decision as far as, are you ready to handle the heck, yeah, the money will be great, but there's more to it than that. It's not just turning wrenches, and you got to know your numbers. You got to know what you're paying for this. You got to know what you're paying for that. What's your average? A lot of guys don't know these numbers. They didn't know. These one man shows that I battle every day when I'm pricing is, well, yeah, he's doing it for $2,000 cheaper. You know why? Because he's okay with making $500 for the day. Are you okay with that? See, me, I'm not. It's go big or go home, baby. That's just how we do it. And if you surround yourself with the right team and you surround yourself with good employees that care about the business, can't go wrong. Can't go wrong. That's just how I see it.
Manny, looking back now, what's one benefit of the new flat rate that you don't think it's talked about enough?
One of the biggest benefits of it that doesn't get talked enough about is the structure that is brought into your company, right? Because every employee wants to know what their job is every day. When you have chaos, it's not good for anybody. If I go to work in the morning and I don't know what I'm doing, that's kind of stressful, right? But if I come to work and I look at my tablet and I said, okay, here's my call. This is what I got to do. If they know this is how I have to dispatch on the way there, I have to arrive when I get there, I have to present this way, I have to put my booties on, and you break it down for that, they love that because there's no unknown. They know what they have to do. Just do it. It's that I tell my guys every day, it's that simple. Just do it. Do your job. And I am not a Patriots fan because Bill Belichick says that. But it just goes hand in hand with it. Just do your job. I've given you the tools. I've given you the training. I continue to give you the training. Now it's up to you to go out there and do it. And I'm there to support you along the way. So, I don't think that gets talked enough about that. By following that system, it's going to bring structure to your business, because if you don't have structure, you have chaos. And chaos is not good for anybody. That's when you end up having technicians leave. And it's not necessarily always about money. Most technicians aren't going to leave for $1 or $2, because if you sit down and do the math, it's really not that much more. Now you go somewhere else, there's a learning curve. They don't quit the job. They quit management. It's the way, if you let chaos, just grow like wildfire in your business, you're going to have a problem. And we're fortunate enough. Yeah, we get our guys that come, they stay 3 weeks, they stay 4 weeks, and they quit because they don't want to learn a script. They don't want to have to follow a system because they came from wherever they came from, where they just want to go in, throw prices at people, and walk out the door. Well, that's not us. Sorry. You're expected. You're going to be held accountable. But that's really what I think people need to focus on when making a decision, because most people that are going to go to TNFR or are looking at TNFR or looking at other places, they're going there because their price is out of whack. They're not coming to you because their pricing is perfect. No, there's a problem. I had a problem, and TNFR fixed. You have to be willing to put the work in, but I really think that needs to be talked about even more with what it builds within a company.
And you touched on training a second ago. Talk to us a little bit about what your weekly training looks like with your team.
Yeah. So, obviously schedule depending. And listen, I wish I could have my guys in on training every day. I'll be honest, but this is the real world, and sometimes I just can't. But our training is literally pretty much with me because, again, part of my system is every morning, everybody comes in. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, we have our quick parking lot rooms where, we talk about the day before. What did you run into? What were your wins from yesterday? What did you struggle with? Did you get any pushback? What were these customers telling you? And then as a team, we work together to figure it out. And what that person can do different. I talk about the system probably 1,000 times a day. And it all comes from me sitting in this very chair right here and watching my parking lot, watching what my techs are doing. Okay. And really, it's always, did we do this? Did we do that? So my guys are I'm constantly talking to them about the system. But then we also, like Thursday, I believe there's a certain time of the month. I know Taylor does all our scheduling for our training, but TNFR offers so much training, where you can do the Zoom with Matt, whether it's the implementation. Every guy that starts here does a 2-day implementation. I don't care if you're the Pope of plumbing, or if you just started plumbing 2 hours ago, you're sitting through that 2-day class. And if you can't, then you're not the right fit for us, right? That's just how it is. So everybody's told you need to do that. And then, they have the Q&As, I believe it's on Thursdays, where there's other techs up there, and you could get on there and talk and say, hey, Russ, I'm having this problem. Or Yomi, I'm having this problem. This is what a customer said to me, and other technicians may chip in and say, hey, this is how I handled that. I struggled with that for a while. Try this. You know what I mean? So, now I think TNFR, I apologize, I don't know enough about it, but I think TNFR has like a half hour or something where you can go on and schedule trainings. You can put however many guys you want in. Like we have I think it's like it's not a refresher course, but it's more of how to get around certain objections. It's an advanced class, basically, where a lot of my guys, literally, I'll probably shut the company down for that day, where my guys will be on that class. So training is, you can never get enough training. But if you ever at any point during the day, Matt will tell you my technicians fall probably more than any other company out there. I won an award for it at the Keys, by the way. Matt gave it to me. So, you know, um, it's there. You can just call and say, hey, listen, I'm at this job and I'm not really sure how. Okay, do this, do this, do this, do that. And you're talking to guys that have been in your place. Adam's been on the road. Matt's been on the road. Russ was a technician. So that's the great thing about it. You always have that support. So there's no reason why you should be able to excel and succeed at being a technician and being a top technician.
Well, Manny, let's talk money because a lot of contractors worry about the investment. What would you say to someone who thinks the new flat rate is too expensive?
So, it's funny. When I first started with the TNFR, or well, when I first demoed with them, I didn't go with them because of the money, right? And then I started to really think, and I said, if you follow it, you're gonna make what, 6 times what you spent. You know, I mean, where back in the day we were getting a $400 ticket. Would you rather have a $400 ticket or would you rather have a $1,500 ticket? So, and if you have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guys, I don't care how many guys you got, and you get every single guy that's doing it, and if they're following the system, I don't even think about it. I honestly don't. I don't even think about it. My office doesn't. And if there's, like every other business, if I got to cut back on something, I could tell you what one thing is not. I don't cut back on TNFR. No, 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 no. We don't do that. That's untouchable. That is there no matter what. But if you want to, you gotta know what you know and know what you don't know. And most plumbers don't know the business end. We know how to turn wrenches, right? TNFR, they're not going to teach you how to turn wrenches. They're going to deal with you actually making money. So if they're making you money, the investment that you're making, it's for you to make more money. You won't even feel it because you're going to, once you see those ticket averages start to go up, you're going to be like, wow, this guy used to only bring in, 2,000 a week. Now he's bringing in 4 or 5. I can guarantee you TNFR paid for itself right then and there with one technician, So it's all about how really how hungry you are. There's guys out there that don't pay for marketing, but then wonder why their phone don't ring. What do you think? They're just gonna magically call your number? No, you got to pay for it. It's like, it's the old saying, no risk it, no biscuit. If you follow the system, there's no risks. You're gonna make money. You just have to understand that. And you gotta look at it that way. Because you don't know the business. You don't know everything. Not everybody knows everything. I don't know everything. Even a plumber, I don't know everything. I know a lot, but I don't know everything. Sometimes I got to talk to one of my guys, my most senior guys. Hey, Tony, what do you think about this? Oh, okay. And that's the same thing with TNFR, right? Now you're paying that guy top dollar. Why? Because he knows that stuff. So you're paying for that. Why not pay somebody else to help you, raise your business up and get you to where you're profitable? Because I can guarantee you, I will in everything I own. I put everything I own on that. If most of these plumbers that are out there today sat down and did an assessment on their business, on whether or not they're making money, bet you they're not. Or if they are, they're not making as much as they thought they were. Why? Because you don't understand your numbers. And you're not getting paid for your time. And you're not getting paid for your worth. And that's what's important, because if you don't know that, it's only a matter of time before you just fizzle out. It's bound to happen. And I was there, because if it weren't for TNFR, and I've said this in other videos, if it weren't for TNFR, I would not be in business today. Would not. Because I don't know how to figure out pricing. I'm not a numbers guy. Okay, I was doing it where, okay, how much was the material? That was $100. All right, mark it up $20, $30. Charge them $130. How long is it going to take you to do it? An hour. Charge them $1.85. If I did that today, they're like, what? No. You're leaving thousands on the table. I mean, and I say to my guys all the time, it's like, what are you thinking, man? Like, come on. Get paid for what you're worth. Shoot, I went to school. I did training. I do continuing ed. I've been doing this for 20 plus years. You pay for that. And people have to understand all that comes with a cost. We answer our phones in the middle of the night. Not me, but my wife. I don't know if she does. But, phone rings at 1 o'clock in the morning. If you call me, absolutely, I'll have a technician out to you within an hour. Just want to let you know there's an emergency dispatch fee of such and such. Why are you going free? You're taking your technician away from their family, pulling them out of their bed to go to your house because you have a problem. That all comes with a cost. I don't care what anybody says. It just is what it is. And people got to learn to just put the pricing aside and look at down the road and talk to other TNFR members and learn about what TNFR has done for them. You'll be glad you did it. You'll be glad you did it.
I'm curious, Manny. I've heard a lot of technicians say, I can't work for a company that doesn't have the new flat rate anymore. Have any of your guys said anything similar? How do your guys love the system?
Yeah.
So I'll put it to you this way. I have a lot of you guys know Taylor. Taylor started out with me as an apprentice. She went to school. She got her license. And I don't know how she does it. When she uses TNFR, she's like a magician. I mean, she knows that system inside and out. She could never do any other system. And she says it to her. I couldn't use something else. Everybody wants to talk about these other systems that are out there. You order a book, you send them a couple, here are my bills, but nobody ever talks about how to present it. And I think that, even like I said, with Taylor, who's now, she's gotten so good. She's my operations manager. And a lot of the plumbers in town will be like, you got a woman running it? Listen, that woman will run circles around you with her eyes closed. Okay? She can sell water to a well. And she just has the system down. When she says to me all the time, she goes, I could never work anywhere else because nobody else is going to have this. Nobody else is going to do this. You've got my HVAC technician, Aiden. Aiden hits bonus every single week without fail. He knows his numbers. He knows what his daily goal is. And he refuses to leave until he gets it. That's just the way that it is. Aiden came to us from another company. He told me it was a nightmare. He said, I don't even know what they were charging. I didn't care. I just went there, did the job, and they did whatever they did. He goes, it was a nightmare. He goes, I didn't understand anything. And when he came here and installed the structure, he's like, I couldn't do anything else. I couldn't do it. And it's just, it's the way, it's great to see that with my guys because I know that they want to learn, they want to learn, they want to become better. I get one of my technicians, Fernando, he'll send me a picture, and he'll say, listen, I'm not really sure, if I can sell this. This is when he first started. And he would call me up and he says, well, it's such and such for this. He goes, how in the hell am I going to sell this? And I said, first of all, you're not selling anything. You're letting them make the decision as far as what they want to do. All you're doing is putting it in front of them, man. If you're trying to sell it, you're doing something wrong. Because as soon as you say, what should we do? You say nothing at all. Silence is bliss, as they say, Don't say nothing. And then he calls me back. He says, oh, I sold the gold. What'd you do? I shut up. Attaboy. That's what you do. Sometimes you just got to shut up. Just don't say nothing. Because if you overwhelm a customer, confusion is going to equal a no. If they don't understand, they're going to say no. So my techs know that it works. They love it. There's a lot of different reasons why they love it. It's not monotonous. It's not, because every job is different. I don't care if it's 2 toilets with the exact same problem. It's not the same job. There's always something else that's adding to that issue that customers have. So you really gotta, and this came, listen, don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you that this happened overnight where I got my guys to just magically believe in this. It takes time. But if it were easy, everybody would do it. Right? If plumbing were easy, everybody and their mother would do it. Well, guess what? It ain't. So they don't. You know what I mean? So it takes time and it's got to prove itself. And with us, it has. And so many different aspects, not just the pricing, but how to talk to people, how to show empathy, how to, show people that we care. We're not out there to price gouge anybody. We're not out there to take advantage of people. That's not what the system's about. It's about getting paid for your time and making sure that the customer sees the value in what they just paid for. That's really what it's about. And if we're able to help somebody understand that and understand this is why you pay a little bit more money, then I'm happy. Because that's a customer forever. I've got customers that literally will never use anybody, anybody else. I call 18. And they pick golds every time, and why? Because they know they see the value, and that's really about, that's what's so great about it, is that once a technician goes through a system like this, unless they're closed-minded, they don't want to switch. And that's why a lot of my guys have been with me as long as they have.
Yeah, I love hearing the success story at Taylor. And we talk about here all the time. We want to make changes and differences in people's lives. We want to elevate them. And just talk to us a little bit more. You told us about Taylor, but how has it impacted some of your other techs in their daily lives?
As I said, TNFR, and I say it all the time, it's not if you think it's just a pricing system, you're in for a surprise. It is not. So I've been able to, as an owner, to implement, how our technicians get paid, incentive pay, and I recently had a conversation with Matt where I had to tweak things a little bit. I wasn't doing it exactly how I was supposed to be doing. And Matt told me, listen, this is what we got to do. But my technicians love it. I had a technician today, this morning in our meeting. He missed bonus by $5. By $5, he missed his bonus. And another technician got up and was like, man, here's the $5. I'll just give you the $5 so you can pay in his bonus. Here's the $5. You know what I mean? It's a competition. It's a friendly competition with the guys, who can do more. You hear him. I hear him in the shop all the time. One of them, I think they call themselves the Band-Aid King. I'm like, really, dude? He just sold 3 golds last week, and you're calling the, you know what I mean? So they get excited about it. And that's what's fun for me, is the guys are excited about it. Now, granted, listen, I've got, like, one of my guys is one of my most senior guys, been with me for years. Um, he's a little more laid back about it, but he loves it. He loves it. He got to spin the wheel last week and he won a game or something, you know what I mean, which is part of our incentive program. We do competitions every week for the guys. Whoever gets the most reviews, whoever does the most revenue, we do company wide where, if we hit our goal, if everybody hits their their weekly goal, we'll do something for the guys or whatever. They get to spin a wheel or whatever it is, we'll buy them lunch. That's TNFR behind me. That's not me. I didn't just think of that. I mean, I'm smart, but I'm not, I, I don't think that way. You know what I mean? I like to be different because I feel that a lot of companies don't, appreciate their guys, which I do, I do show appreciation. Um, and that's what I've gotten out of TNFR. So that's why I say it's not just a pricing system. It's not. Everything in this office revolves around TNFR. Well, you're not following the script. I listened to a call the other day. My new dispatcher, she'll follow the script. So we revisited it, and what I've learned and how to talk to people. Say, hey, listen, you did a great job on this, but where can we improve? What can we do better to make that call go better? To make sure that we're able to book that book. And then yesterday she had a 87% book. So it's all on about how you talk to people. And that's what I've learned through TNFR. So it's not just a pricing system. It's really not. If you think that way, you're not getting the most out. Put it that way. You're not reaching out for help because there are people that just want to get the system out. I don't want to play along with all the Zoomians and all that stuff. You're just hurting yourself, really, if you think about it. You know what I mean? Use it to its full extent. That's kind of how I see it.
So hear from companies that the first 90 days can be challenging because they're learning new processes and changing habits. What was that transition like for your team and what helped you push through it?
So what helped me, first of all, before I could try to get to implement the system, I had to believe. Because I can't get them to follow along, I don't believe it. Right? So I did a lot of research. I met, I met Suzanne, I spoke to Jared, I spoke to how many people I could to make the right decision. And once I did it, I believed it. But I also came from a different type of system. So it was a little easier for me to believe in it. And it made sense to me. And I watched the videos online. And once I did it, I believed in it. It was being consistent. It was about being consistent and holding them accountable and being there for them and supporting it. You have to listen. If you think it's going to be easy, I'm telling you right now, it's not, because you're dealing with different people. Each one of your technicians has their own thoughts in their mind as to how they feel. Like, this crap, I ain't doing this. Well, relax. And then what I did was I pulled out their numbers. And I said, listen, for 4 years that you've been with me, we've done it your way. Right? Here's your job average. Do me a favor. Give me 90 days. Do it my way for 90 days. And then we'll reconvene. And if your numbers haven't changed, you don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. Guess how many people won that bet? Not a single one. Not a single one, because I knew it. And I noticed that after, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it just got easier and easier. And I would tell the guys, listen, it's going to flow. It's going to flow. We did a ton of role playing, a ton of it, until I felt comfortable that they knew it. I did role playing. I had them watch the videos. I mean, videos ad nauseum. They would come in, they get done at 2:00. Hey, what do you want to do? You want to go home or you want to learn more about the system? And after 3 weeks, they all wanted to learn more about the system. So I would say, okay, go upstairs and watch videos. Go upstairs and watch videos. And when you're done, tell me something else that you learned. I want to know. It's consistency, 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 and hold them accountable and make sure that they understand and make sure that I'm doing the best that I can to help them get to where they want to get to, you know. But that's really your first 90 days are your toughest. I'll be honest. A lot of guys aren't going to buy into it. You know, they think it's like I don't know. I told my guys, I said, don't treat it like it's a cult. You, you know, we're not like people, you know, those cults that live out in the middle of the woods that think nothing applies to them. No, it's not cult. It's just going to help you, you know. And one thing that Taylor said to me when she first started it was, I said, so how'd it go today? So I have to sum up them. Just put the tablet in front of them. And they pick it, you know. And I tell my guys all the time, don't get upset. If you get a Band-Aid, don't get upset, because no matter how you slice it, that's still a win. That's still a win. You know? And then you go from there. So the first 90 days are the toughest, but you within that 90 days, you will see things start to turn. And you'll start to see, you know, your average ticket come up. Will be a lot happier because now they know exactly what they have to do. So that's really what I would tell somebody, you know, just understand that it's a lot of work and you're going to have to be consistent and you're going to have to make sure that they're doing their jobs and you're going to have to do the right ones. I do them all the time. I don't tell anybody who I'm doing it to. I'll just come in one morning. If they see me in my blues, they know something's up. Because typically I wear my t-shirts. If they see me in my blue A-team shirt, they know something's up. And normally when they see me in my A-team shirt, they try to be the first ones out the door because they don't want me to jump in the truck roof. Yeah. Yeah. And then I just show up at the job in my truck anyway. So they're like, oh shit. You know, I think, but it's a great thing. It just takes time. It does take time.
If someone joined the new flat rate today, what do you think have the biggest impact on their business over the next year?
I think, you know, your average ticket, obviously you're going to see that grow. I think that you're going to start to understand your business a little bit more. And those are the two main things that I really think that by joining TNFR and becoming a member, you're going to really see within your first year, you're going to see it. And you're going to be like, wow, what have I been doing? You know, and you just, that's really what's important is obviously, you know, you want to make sure you're making money with it. You will definitely make money with it, hands down, you know, and that was important to me at the time because we were doing all these jobs and I didn't see my account wrong. So I'm like, what's going on? Oh, it's figuring my numbers were off. You know, I wasn't charging enough for what I was doing. You know, so that's really one of the benefits is that support. You know, you're gonna see that you're gonna be able to call somebody and say, hey, I'm having a problem with this, or I'm having an issue with the technician who's just not getting it. You know, but it will be worth it. I can't say it enough. It look at all these bigger companies, you know, all these big franchises. They all have their system. I remember when I worked for a franchise years ago when I first started, I used to walk to the door with a suitcase with my investigational tools in there and all my stuff. That's a system, right? You would not catch me dead doing that today. That's not gonna, you know. And then worked for the other companies where I had to wear a white shirt. You know, again, not happening here. You know, everybody, all these bigger companies that are successful have systems. You know, they have something that they follow. They don't just get up today and make billions of dollars. No, you got to work towards that. You got to have stuff in place. So I think you'll see within your first year of TNFR, it's going to be your average, your average ticket's going to go up. So obviously your money's going to go up. You're going to understand your business a lot more. You're going to understand your numbers, you know, um, but you have to take advantage of that because all the support is there, and with TNFR, all the support is there. You just have to reach out and grab it because it is there, you know. But I think that those are the two top things, that you'll definitely see within your first year.
Well, that kind of perfectly leads to my next question, which is, has there ever been a moment where you looked back, realized, wow, this is why joining the new flat rate was worth it?
I had an aha moment with TNFR probably 4 months into it. And I'll tell you why. It was because not only did I believe in it, I was seeing the change within my company, but my technicians were buying into it. And my technicians were seeing it. And just to have everything working together like a well-oiled machine while my guys are out there for every customer, no matter who you are, where you live, the price is the same. Where my technicians weren't having to call me and say, what am I charging for this? What am I charging for that? What am I charging for this? It was at their fingertips, and if you have any questions, get on the phone and call the tech line. They'll help you through it. You know what I mean? So I would say probably into 4 months into it, I really knew I had made the right decision. And then I started to kind of branch out. After that, I got into the coaching. Um, just getting involved more with like Key West, and when I went to visit Platinum Plumbing down in Louisiana, um, that was really like, oh, this is serious stuff here. Um, and it went down to Service World one year and saw that. I wish I could do all. If I could, I would. Um, I just because of just scheduling conflicts, I can't. Um, but I always want to be a part of it. Whatever they have going on, I want to be because I know that there's going to be something that I'm going to pick up that I can literally implement like that. And I can do that because I already have the other systems in place. All I'm doing is adding to it. And so that's what's great about it.
Manny, what would you say to a contractor who's on the fence right now because they're comfortable doing things the way that they've always done them?
What would I say to a contractor that's not doing it and is comfortable with the way they're doing it? I don't know. I'm not comfortable with doing something and not making money. You know, I'm just being blunt. I would, just because you keep doing something doesn't mean that it's right. You know what I mean? We don't, we, we're not in business to lose money. You know what I mean? If your pricing were perfect, then you wouldn't need TNFR. But that's just not the case because chances are you don't know your numbers. You don't understand them. You don't know. If I walked up to a contractor right now, and I could literally think of one right off the top of my head, and I went up to him and I said to him, "What's your break even number? What's your break even number every week? What do you have to make just to break even?" I bet you they don't know. And then I sit down and start doing those numbers. I bet you couldn't dial TNFR's number fast enough once you realize it. But a lot of these guys, like I said, they don't know. They know how to turn wrenches. If you're okay with making $300, $400, $500 for the day, God bless you. That's all. Have at it. If you want to get serious about your business and you want to start making some real money, so that you can have freedom and you can step away and know that your business is running itself, call TNFR. I got 2 trips playing this shit. I got 2 of them. I've never been able to do that before. Why? Because I have people here that literally know their job. They know what to do. They know what's expected, you know. And I don't even need to go too crazy. I don't even need to be on the phone while I'm on vacation like this. No, that's no. No, that those days are gone. I don't need to, my girls really know because they know what their job is. They know that when I come back through those doors, I'm gonna sit at this desk, and if something's off, I'm gonna wanna know why. And we're gonna have a meeting about it, and we're gonna talk about it. Somebody may get raised out, but that's all right. I get yelled at every day. So, but everybody knows their job, and that's the biggest thing. If you want freedom, I see so many plumbers out there that I've known throughout the years that, you know, they're at the bar, 5 o'clock, they're at the bar. Why were they like that? The job is killing them. It's killing them. Who turns to drugs? Who's doing this? Who's doing that? Why? The job is killing them, and they don't understand there's a path to freedom. There's a path there. You just gotta walk down it. You just gotta do it. Because I was getting stressed out because I was that guy. I was that guy that was coming home and I was drinking like you couldn't believe because I was so stressed out. And don't get me wrong, I'm not telling you I don't have any stress. I'm not perfect, but not like it used to be. I mean, and it's just, it's such it's so sad to see because it doesn't have to be that way, you know. But if you want to change your life and you want to start making money and you want to start having some freedom and understanding your business, then join TNFR, and I can guarantee you that'll put you on the right path. Won't be easy, but you'll get there. You'll definitely get there.
When you think about where your business is today compared to before you joined, what changed the most for you personally? I know we touched on it a little bit for what changed with your company, but what changed for you personally in your personal day-to-day life?
What changed for me is my way of thinking. Um, Thinking that I always had to work in my business. If you spend too much time working in your business, you don't have any time to work on your business. You know, um, that's really how my thinking changed about business in general, and how my thinking changed about how I deal with my technicians. I mean, this past year, I've had to deal with stuff with my technicians that I never dealt with before, and no, and that's where I fell on, with Suzanne and with Nat, with Russ. I'm gonna listen. How do I get these guys locked back in? How do I just didn't know how to do it without screaming at them. You gotta kind of take a step back and look at it from their shoes. Look at it from their perspective and try to understand them and a little bit more. And just just my thinking about everything, how I look at everything. That's really what I learned the most. In as far as from before I had my business, or before I had TNFR, because before that, before TNFR, part of my French, I was pissing in the wind. I hope I didn't get it on my pants. You know what I mean? Like, that's really what it was. Like you gotta understand that it's okay to ask for help. Because there are people out there that know, but you have to be able to change your thinking. You have to be open and not be so hard-headed about everything and thinking that you know everything. Because if you think you know everything, chances are you don't. You know, um, but that's really the difference from when I started, to where I am now with just my thinking, how I look at things and how I deal with the day to day.
How has it changed your family? I know you mentioned your wife earlier, but how has it changed there and made a difference in your life?
There's less arguments, you know, um, it because the way that I've learned how to change my thinking is also helped me to learn how to how to talk to people. So when I was going home and I was stressed out, I was yelling, screaming, and all that didn't get me anywhere. But now it's the we still have our disagreements. Obviously, my wife and I, as we work together, so when work is slow, it's okay. What do we need to do? So we talk things out a little bit. Go, okay, let's try this. Let's try that. Let's try this. So on a personal level, understanding and being able to just shut my mouth and just open my ears and say, okay, let me listen to what she's saying. Not that I always agree, because God knows I don't. But being able to look at it things from her perspective as well. All the way down to how I deal with my kids. Who's gonna go jump off the retaining wall? Instead of yelling at them, to be like, so what's gonna happen if you jump off that wall, right? Yeah, I know. So are you gonna think about it before you jump off that wall? All right, I will do it. All right, that's it. Rather than you start yelling, it's And don't get me wrong. Like I said, there's times I want to lose it, but it's affected me personally as well, where I can kind of just step back sometimes and look at things and just relax, and understand that there's always a way, there's always a solution to your problem. You just got to know where to look. The old saying is there's more than one way to skin a cat, and that'll be itself. Being able to understand that you can get your point across without, flying off the handle, and knowing and just being able to deal with these technicians, and deal with your personal life as well. It's kind of helped bring me back down to reality and understanding that.
So you've been meeting here with us today. We'd love to spend this time with you, but you have an audience of over 500,000 people in the trades listening to us. If you had to tell them in one sentence what you want them to do to make a difference in their lives, what would that be?
Join TNFR. That's what I would say. Straight out. I don't have anything else to tell them. Just do it. Just do it. And thank you later. And I've had other contractors call me up that have been thinking about, joining, and they're like on the fence and they're on the wall and I don't know what to do. I mean, this seems like an awful lot of money. Look past it. Because I guarantee you in 6 months, you'll be like, you were right. If you do it the right way. So just take a leap of faith. You took your first leap of faith when you went into business. Now take a leap of faith to learn how to run the business the right way, to where you're making money, and freedom will come behind it. I'm living proof of it, so that's what I would say.
Well, Manny, thank you so much for having this conversation with us. Is there any socials, links, anything you would like to promote?
Not really. I mean, I think a lot of the people at TNFR, a lot of the members and people watching, I think a lot of them know me. They know they know what I'm about. But what I will say is, something is if anybody's on the fence about joining, and want to talk to somebody, I mean, listen, I don't get anything out of it. I just love to help people. Come and talk to me, and I'll tell you straight like it is. I don't pull any punches. I'm just gonna tell you, reach out, and I'd be more than happy to have a conversation with you and let you know what it's all about.
Well, thank you so much for having this conversation with us, and to everyone listening. Bye, guys.
If you want to learn more about the new flat rate, go to thenewflatrate.com. If you want to learn more about A-Team Plumbing and Drain, go to a-teamplumbingandhvac.com.